Welcome to You're 18, Now What? Thank you for joining me on this great Tuesday. I'm Dr. Catherine Gilstein, and I am looking forward to empowering you with information about financial literacy and economic empowerment. I will continue to post on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, but as time permits, I will be adding to my podcast as well. So today I have a great interview for you, and it is with Mr. Joel Miller, and he is founder of Flames Financial Planning. So always a great place to start with a financial planner. So Joel, thank you so much for joining me, and tell us a little bit about you and your background before we get into finance.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for being a great host and having me on the show. I'm looking forward to an amazing episode. We have lots of information, so buckle up, listeners. Cannot wait to hear what you think. My name is Joel Miller. I live here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I am married to my wife, Sam, and I have two boys, Parker and Brady, ages 3 and 1. I am loving life right now. I'm so blessed. I have a lot to be thankful for. So I am the CEO and founder of a financial planning company where we partner with you. We walk through life with you. And if I'm not working, I love to get outside. We love to stay active, go for walks as a family, jump on the trampoline. And so I'm loving this current stage of life.
Amazing, amazing. I remember that. Now mine are grown. I have my last one in college, but still always great when all of us are able to get together, just have fun. Family time is just so important, and being able to manage that with work.
Absolutely. It's a lot to balance between being a CEO, a family man, and having friends and family. Like, life is hard. Life is busy. So that's why do it with someone you love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And finances are so important. So everybody knows money. Money is so important, but so few people want to talk about money. And financial literacy is lacking in this country. I believe there's maybe 22, 23 high schools that have a financial literacy component to the curriculum, which is sad. So my purpose is to get the word out there about financial literacy, economic empowerment, especially to the underserved communities of, New York, Philly, DC, Miami, LA, of where the information is just not so readily available. So to have someone like you on the podcast, younger generation who definitely resonates. What can you tell me about Flames Financial Planning and how you decided to start that?
Yeah. Thank you for providing a platform that bridges this gap. What I love most about your platform is the younger generation that is seeking and wanting to grow and equip themselves with the tools that they need to walk through life. But yet also you have the generation and the parents that say, hey, my kids are this age. What should I do? What do I need to do? So you have this amazing community that is going to have a huge impact. So I can't wait to see what the parents do. I can't wait to see what the kids and the young adults do. So this is really cool to be speaking to both of those audiences. And we're going to be able to have some cool tips and tricks to address wherever you are in life right now. Flames Financial Planning was born because traditional planning has some old tendencies. So if you don't know, if you ever wanted to work with a financial planner, it was actually really difficult to find someone who wants to work with you if you don't have a lot of wealth.
Correct.
Typically, financial advisors want you to hand over $500,000, $1 million or more in order to partner with them. So that has just always created this separation where the only people who can get access to planning are the people who are already wealthy or have enough assets outside of your primary home or outside of your retirement accounts. So I wanted to create a business that is flat fee planning. What that means is the fee does not increase as your wealth increases, like a traditional financial advisor. The other gap I saw in the market was a lot of advisors are willing to help with your investments and your planning. But I wanted to do that plus help with your annual tax filing and give you access to create your first estate plan and maintain that over time. So it is truly trailblazing and disrupting the industry where ideally those 4 financial planning pillars, you can finally get assistance with that with an affordable monthly membership price.
I absolutely love that. And I found that as well, that unless you have a half a million or $1 million, no financial planner wants to work with you. So I definitely pride myself on working with people that are just starting out. So whether you're
Absolutely.
starting in your 20s, 30s, 40s, I have clients that have not started and they're 50. And
Yep.
I always say it's never too late to start, but the key is just start. So let's figure out where your money's going first, and then we can work on creating that budget for you and then creating that wealth for you for later on. So
The earlier you start, the better. It is never too late. Even
absolutely.
if you're 10, 13, 15, 21, it is never too late to start for yourself. And it's never too early to start teaching your kids about this. So what I love is I get to teach and equip my 3-year-old with age equivalent tasks and knowledge about financial planning and money. So he knows why I go to work, to make money to provide for the family. He knows
Right.
what money is used for, to keep the lights on, to provide food so we can go pay Costco or Amazon a lot of money to help
Hmm.
bring in resources. So don't don't assume that your kid is too young to start learning these subjects. Kids are very smart and they can memorize a lot, and the earlier you start, the easier it's going to be. So that applies to young kids, teenagers, 20s, 30s, 40s. If you're 21 listening to this episode, start now. Start small. I'd rather you open a Roth and start with $50 than wait until 40, and that 50 has to be a whole lot higher of a number.
Absolutely. Talking about young kids, I always say that, especially with my economics background and teaching economics, is that if you have a 5-year-old child and you bring them to the store, you can let them know, and they don't need to know the dollar amount, but they know, well, do I want two books or do I want one stuffed animal? So that's the choice that they're making with the money that's available. So they can make that choice at that age, at 6 or 7 or 8 years old. So never too early to start. Um, for the younger generation, when you get that summer job, you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, you have that summer job, you have no expenses. You're not paying anything. Hopefully you're not paying for your cell phone bill, you're not paying rent, you're not paying anything like that. And when my children were at that age working, I would take half of their money and they would go, "What are you doing? You're taking half my money." I'm like, "Well, if I don't take half of it, you can spend it. So if I take half and you spend half, then you're learning right from that start at 16, 17, 18 years old, 14, whatever the age is that you start working. I need to pay myself first. And that's what you need to do. Pay yourself first. So it's only in those younger years where you can save 50% of your salary. At your age and my age, we can't save 50% now because the overhead is too high right now. We have children, we're putting them through college, we're putting them through school, we're paying for the lights, the electric, and all that stuff. Um, but if you could start out paying yourself 50%, and then when you get your first job, pay yourself 15%. Anytime you get a raise, put that extra raise away. Um, what other tips can you offer for the younger generation just starting out? Let's say you're in your first job. So you finish
Yeah.
school, you're starting your first job. What's the first thing you recommend?
And even before that, just to jump on something you had just
Mhm.
mentioned, here's a really cool thing for parents to do. So let's say you're a parent and your kid gets their first job. Maybe they're working at Subway. If they have earned taxable income and they are getting a paycheck, do this.
Mhm.
Sit down with them, open up a Roth IRA at a big custodian you trust. I typically recommend either
Perfect.
Vanguard or Fidelity is a great and easy place to get started. If
Those are
they're
two
young, if
great
they're
ones I
still
always recommend.
Oh yeah, so easy.
They
Someone
are,
that's big. Yep.
yep,
So
big
open up.
company,
It's
very knowledgeable, very helpful.
absolutely good ETFs, low cost products that you can get
Mhm.
into. Open up. It's going to be a minor Roth because they're still a minor and they'll transition that into a normal Roth IRA later. But if your kid has earned taxable income from maybe their first job and they're making minimum wage, teach them the power of investing right there. Tell them if you get your paycheck, you take 100 and I will match 100. Whatever, pick any dollar amount you want, but teach them. Watch this. We'll open a minor Roth. You put in 100, I'll match you $100 so that way they can just kind of you have to help them out a little bit, give them that encouragement push
Of course.
and open up that minor Roth IRA. even though they're making minimum wage. They can start it as soon as they have earned taxable income. They don't have to wait until 21. They don't have to wait until
Right.
25 to open that first Roth IRA. You can you can walk through that very first one with them. They probably don't have access to a 401k, but this is a great way to get started and start your retirement savings as a teenager. How cool is that? You will start leaps and bounds ahead of so many other kids. They're going to love that shared experience with you. And you get to teach them that when their high school is not going to teach them that. So that's like a really
Right.
quick and easy thing. It would take 15 minutes to open up their very first account, give them a
Literally
little bit of
15 minutes.
reward,
Yeah.
match the amount
Hmm.
that they're going to put in. And that teaches them so many valuable lessons right there. To jump to the answer to your question, you graduate college, you get the first job, you got to start from the basics. Get your emergency fund set. So this is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Put that into a high yield online savings account, making a good interest rate.
Hmm.
Learn the basics. Learn how to operate out of a checking account, how to set up bills, how to set up subscriptions. How do you get paid? Where does it go? Get your basics figured out so that way you can build on top of that. You can always try to always, if you can, take advantage of your employer match into your 401k. Start building these good financial habits because whatever you
Hmm.
build in your early 20s, that will continue to shine and it will raise you up or it will tear you down. So you need to build those good habits right away.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, the match is just a no-brainer. If your company is giving a 2% match, put in 2%. If they're giving 3%, put in 3% because it's free money. The biggest thing is time and compounding interest. And I think when they're able to see that time and compounding interest, they'll begin to understand the earlier you start, the better. So, no, never too late to start. But the bottom line is start. And I always tell people it doesn't matter what it is, but something as little as $10 or $20 a week. Start putting that into the high yield savings account. And there are still online savings accounts that are offering still 3.65, 3.75, 4% on money. So to build that and pay yourself first, I think that's a huge piece as well. What about what about going into your second job? So this is kind of where you are, right? So you finished school, got your first job, and then you decided. So what made you pivot from working for someone else to starting out on your own?
Yeah. If you have the capacity to do more, I challenge you to do that. This is going to
Hmm.
be a really good exercise for parents to try to encourage your kid to follow their dreams. Some people want to get into their W-2 role, they want to work really hard, and there's so much success in that. Don't let someone tell you how you have to build your wealth. We live in
Mm,
America, so you could pretty much build your wealth in a million different ways, which is really cool.
absolutely.
And
Hmm.
I don't want parents to I want parents to encourage that. I want help your kid explore that in a healthy and safe environment. It is a really hard line to balance, but you're never going to know if you don't try. So that for me was like, hey, I have worked really hard. I've worked in my career. I've learned a lot. I've been equipped. People have mentored me. People have poured into me, and I'm ready to go take that risk and see if I can change the lives of 5,000 people across America. So that's where I hit that moment, especially as an entrepreneur. You see a gap in the market. And it's really hard to do that at first. It takes time. Usually, most people don't just graduate and launch into their own career. I would have
Right.
never started this company the same way if I hadn't had 8 prior years of experience from amazing employers that taught me everything that I know. So learn
Mhm.
what you like, learn what you don't like. Go push yourself and hustle as hard as you can under the safety blanket of a W-2 employer. You can learn about your role. You can learn how to perfect your role, all of those sort of things. I think that is really good. And it's such a good way to learn before you go out on your own and then you really launch your own business. It can happen. It does happen, and people do great jobs. But I think you'll see
True.
that most people don't do that. Most millionaires just work really hard. do their best, save into their employer sponsored plans, and you can absolutely create amazing, incredible wealth by doing that.
hmm to go back to what you said earlier about parents encouraging their children, and I see this often. So I spent 20 years in finance, insurance, investments, retail banking, that sort of thing, and the last 10 years in academia. And I see the students that are there because they want to be there, and I see the students that are there because their parents want them to be there. And I encourage parents to find out from your children, what is it that they want to do. College isn't for everyone. I love school. College was definitely for me, but it's not for everyone. There are 2-year options. So you could do a 2-year associates in business and just get the foundations and then go out on your own and create your business. You can go to trade school. There are, so many options. And like you said, this is America. You could pick and choose anything that you want. There are people who are just creating content, making money. For those young adults, I encourage you to have a backup plan because you can create content for so long, but what happens to the exit? So anytime you go into business, there has to be some type of exit strategy. I'm actually going to go into more detail on that, getting into business and getting out of business, um, on my next podcast that I have scheduled with someone. So that's always a good thing to look at too. Um, but I think for parenting, encouraging their kids to do what they love, because I mean, I enjoy going to work every day. I don't, Monday morning doesn't bother me.
Mm.
So when you enjoy what you do, you're always just so much better about it because you're so passionate about it and you want to, get the word out. I love speaking to people. I love talking with people. I love interviewing people. Um, as a graduate program director and assistant professor, I love teaching people. I love learning from my students as well, and that always happens. Um, but I think that's really important, to encourage and think about what you love as a person. Think about what you love, what you excel at, what you're good at, and try to capitalize on that and monetize that.
Yeah, I love that. You need to find what brings you joy, or else life is long and
Mhm.
life is going to be really hard. If you don't enjoy what you do every single day, it's going to be tough. And that's why we need to start earlier. I don't know exactly what college is going to look like, but I can't imagine it's going to look the exact same for my kids as it did for me or for you or the way that we view
Absolutely.
college now. It's going to
Mhm.
rapidly change. But as a parent, you can start exploring that. Go have your kid do almost like this internship style, like these micro internships, these micro learnings, find mentors, have them sit
Mhm.
down. This is really hard. As a teenager, one of the last things you want to do is to sit down with someone and shadow them. But you're going to learn so much. You will quickly learn what you like or don't, what you don't like. And I think what happens too often is kids go to a 4-year degree and they go straight into a master's program because it feels like the only option, or they don't know what they want to do yet. That's probably the
Agreed.
worst thing that could, I would never recommend as of right now. Things could change, but I would never recommend going to get your master's degree because you don't know what to do. What I'd rather see you do is go get a job, go find a profession that you love, and then get a master's if they're willing to pay or assist with a graduate program in a direction that you
Exactly.
actually enjoy doing. Don't put yourself into $40,000 of more loans because you were just trying to delay adulthood or delay a career for 2 more years.
Totally, totally agree. And I do encourage my students that as well. Not all professions need a master's degree. If you're
Yes.
going for social work, then you need to get that master's in social work. If you're going for clinical psychology, you need to get that master's. But if you're going for a business administration degree, a marketing degree, you don't need a master's degree. Get into the workforce, start out, and best of all, save your money. If your company is
Yes.
going to pay for it, so it takes you 2 years, 2.5 years. That's perfectly fine. You're getting the education and the experience as you go along and not outlaying that money. So I
I
think that's a
completely
huge
agree. That
financial piece.
cannot be, it's not a blanket statement across the board, like you mentioned.
Of course.
But if you're in business, in marketing, in finance, and some of these, we are not seeing a direct correlation with success of going straight into a master's program. So
Mhm.
go out in the world. I would rather you go out, get a first job, and switch one, two, or three times than go directly into a master's program and get a degree that you really did not actually need to go get or use your money on.
True. And it might not even be relevant for what you decide you want to do.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of students that started out on one track, got their degree in accounting, and just wound up doing something totally different.
Yeah.
So
Most people don't even
most
use their basic 4-year degree for what they're doing. I got my degree in
uh,
communications, marketing, and advertising. And
okay.
then come to find out, I was destined to be, my goal was to be a financial planner. So I got my CFP certification. I
Hmm.
could have gotten any degree in the world, but what really came down and what mattered was my CFP designation. So
Correct.
that's why you might really, most people don't
Mhm.
end up doing what they went to college for. So that's
True.
why we really need to think hard and critically about the role of college and what it plays. So that is good advice
Mhm.
for a young generation, for the parent generation, is start thinking about what you want to do a little bit earlier. Go out, put yourself out there, sit with people and see what they do on a day-to-day basis to see if it's something that you could see yourself doing.
Yeah, and to go back to your point about internships, they're so important. Um, and I'll share this story for my own son, who will be a junior at University of South Florida in Tampa in the fall. And this summer, he could have stayed home and made a ton of money working locally for a basketball camp, which he loves to do, coaching kids and doing all of that. But he was able to get an internship. And the internship, although doesn't pay as much, it's going to give him the sales experience. They're going to
Yeah.
cover procurement. They're going to cover inventory. They're going to cover supply chain. So they're going to cover all stuff, warehouse management, all of that stuff that he's not going to get in the classroom. So for him, he had to make a choice. He's like, well, it's a lot of money. I go, it is a lot of money that you're giving up for the summer. I said, but is it worth the amount of experience you're going to be able to get as you continue your degree? And he
Yeah.
wound up going with the internship. And, I couldn't be more prouder for, a 20-year-old to pass up money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And experience
but
is
huge
hard to put a dollar
opportunity.
value on.
Absolutely. But definitely, and I think that's a really key point, is that to try to find out what those experiences are. Use the resources that are available at the college and your local library. And I mean, just SBA.gov, Small Business Association. There's so much free information on there. Starting a business, how to write a business plan, and just using the resources, how to find an internship, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think
Shadow
that's
people,
all
just
very
ask them.
useful.
If you
Absolutely.
ask someone,
Mhm,
hey, can I just follow you around for an hour or two and see what you like, or like see what you do, teach
mhm,
me, show me, I just want to learn. Not a lot of
mhm.
people are going to say no to that, right? Like everyone
Oh,
would love to show you.
absolutely.
It's fun. It makes my day a little
Mhm,
bit better. So ask people, put yourself out there. Just say, hey, I would love to follow you around. I'd love to shadow you and just see what your day to day
mhm.
looks like.
Absolutely. I'd say the same thing about, building your LinkedIn profile. Find people you're interested in fields that you're interested in. Reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, how did you get to where you were? Like, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? What would you tell your younger self? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, with experience, it's not that we're smarter, we're just older with more experience. So we
Yeah.
can look back on it and say, hey, I remember I did this. I probably should have done this piece a little bit differently. But I'm
Yeah.
sure, even though your undergrad degree is different than financial planning, I'm sure that communications and marketing really came in handy
Yeah.
for what you tried to build for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, especially speaking to maybe a lot of the audience, you don't have to be the most book smart person. You do not have to be the most intelligent person in the room because there's only one of those, right? There's only
Right.
one smartest or one most intelligent or one person who gets the highest grades. But what you can do is be one of the hardest working, one of the most determined. You can put in one of the most amount of work. And that's where I was. I I really disliked the standardized testing. I always struggled with tests
Mhm.
and I never got the highest
Mhm.
grades off of the least amount of work. But what I did was I hustled, I put in the work, I put in the time. You have to know that about yourself. So I just want to encourage everyone, if tests aren't your thing, if standardized testing, if you never got the best results on that, don't let that stop you from achieving your
Mhm.
dreams because you will find out that more often than not, that hard work, if you're willing to put in the time and the effort and hustle through that, I do think you're still going to see a lot of success in whatever industry you do end up choosing.
Mm. Absolutely. Definitely so agree with that. So tell our audience how they can find you through social media. And I know we spoke a little bit about it, but if you could let our audience know what you do for posting for social media as to get some tips out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I am here to educate. I want to raise the financial literacy in America. So I try to do that in as many ways as possible. If you're a parent or if you are in your second or third job and you are looking for someone that you trust, that you want to walk through life, I'd love to meet you. I want to teach you, I want to equip you. If you think you might be a good fit for a member of Flames Financial Planning, we'd love to assist you with your investments, financial planning, your tax filing, and your estate planning for one monthly affordable price. It's a subscription model. So I'd love to see if a membership is a great fit for you. If you love what you heard today, but maybe you still want to, this is your first job, you're a teenager, you're just looking to learn and grow and equip yourself, you want to be poured in from the right people. So I want to pour into you as well. I post free content on Instagram and YouTube. Follow me, Joel Miller Finance, so that I can teach you about maybe subjects that you have never heard about before, maybe changing your mind on a subject you have, or busting financial myths, teaching you about taxes, teaching you about all these things because you're not learning it in school. So one, I can't wait to celebrate when financial planning is a part of every middle school, every high school, and every college. We're not there yet. So something that we can continue working towards, but there's a place in Flames for you wherever you are, whether it's free content or if a membership would be right for you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everyone listening because that means that you are trying to grow and you're trying to be better than you were yesterday.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. I think we gave really good content here. And for those of you listening, follow Joel Miller Finance and get some great tips out there. So remember, it's not a one size fits all for everything. So I also have a book out there, You're 18 Now What? And it is geared toward the younger generation, but also the parents of that younger generation. So you can visit my website at www.your18nowwhat and pick up a book. You could also get it on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and other retailers. So be open to learning, listening, asking questions. Remember, be invaluable for what you share, not what you know. See you next time on Your 18 Now What? Be sure to visit my website where you can always find the latest podcast episode to listen to, follow, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. And thank you for joining me, Joel. It's been great.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.